everyone. Welcome back to Infinity Wealth.
You know what? We got that better this time. Oh, yeah.
No, we're going to tell them why we were off air, basically, haven't we? Really?
Yeah, we've been on holiday in the Maldives. We've been chilling in the Maldives. As you can see,
that's my hula dance, mate. That's a hula dance.
I've come back. Well, Martin's staying there for a few more months. You know.
Yeah, I've decided to stay here. You know, they need me here, Kiki, so I'm staying here.
Exactly.
But you know, have you heard of these influencers all moving to Dubai?
Yeah.
I've moved here, mate.
I think my mate was saying to me, he goes, it's become the new Ibiza or something.
Yeah. It's all the influencers. Yeah, because there's no lockdown there, and
yeah, exactly. But no, on a serious note, well, unfortunately, me and Martin at the beginning of Martin, you was the beginning of the year. We both came down with COVID, so it's been a bit of a rough start to the year for the both of us, right?
Yeah, well, my family came down with COVID. Your family came down with COVID. It's just been and it was been like a domino effect, basically.
Yeah, really, and not because we didn't come in contact just in case
each other. No. We socially distanced through this, basically, right?
Maybe we got it for Zoom, but no.
Yeah, so it's been everyone. We apologise. We know we've been off air for some time. We hope we're back on track. But you know, some of these unforeseen circumstances, and Kika was in no way being able to talk and stuff like that, and so we just decided to actually come back when we were better, basically.
Exactly. But I hope everyone in the audience has been well, and if you know, I know a lot of people have been sort of affected by it, and I think for me, Martin, it was a lot of mentally as well. You know, I was speaking to you. And also, like, it just obviously, like, if you're 3 weeks away from work, then it just sort of you know, catches up with you. So I've literally been trying to get ahead of stuff. So, but we're back now, so no need to worry. And
but please stay safe, everyone. You know, if you know anyone with COVID, it does. You know, I know there's stories out there. It's non-existent. Well, I'll tell you now, it is existent, and you'll say it's also existent. And 100%. I know, unfortunately, mentees whose family members have passed away, which is very, very saddening. And my heart, reaches out to them, and I hope everyone stays safe, right?
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
Yep. So what have we got impact for them today?
So we've got.
This is I was going to say Happy New Year, but it's a bit late now. Bit late now, isn't it?
Happy New March. Happy New Yearly March.
Yeah. Happy March. No, actually, no. We're in February, so it's fine. Right?
Yeah. Nearly
so
March,
we're going to talk about property today, right? We're going to talk about property today.
Yeah.
And then midweek we're going to talk about the stock market. But today it is property.
100%.
And so stuff that we have seen. And trends that we think will, you know, because at the moment, the property market is a very, very difficult market at the moment. Difficult in the respect of prices are still going up, you know, which seems a bit bizarre. But I'm not sure on what kind of ground we're on. But we'll talk about that in the video as well. And our experiences on, because I know that Selena works for she works insolvency practitioner. I've spoken to some of my bigger guys who basically lend out money in trying to find deals, you know, see if they've got any unfortunate developers who have been unable to hold on to their positions and maybe to buy it cheaply, but they've all said, you know, we're anticipating that, but it hasn't quite happened yet. So but we'll talk about that, right? So where we're kicking off, you give us the subject matter, and then we'll kick off there, right? I'm ready. I'm flexing myself. Yeah, there we go.
Good. So as you could tell from what Martin's been just saying there, is these are trends that we've been identifying in the property market, and that's what today's topic is going to be about. I think is a good way to start off the coming March, not the year, but good way to sort of start off, where Infinity's whilst foundations were built on property. It's a really nice way to sort of come back and reflect. I know we've been doing a lot in stocks as well, because obviously we want to provide you guys with the most content on building that infinite wealth, but we want to bring it back to property and not just talking about only what we've been speaking about in the previously, but the upcoming trends that are happening now and the trends for the future as well.
Future.
Exactly. Yep. And part of my business in what I do, I'm in the property industry, so I see this a lot as well, and I focus more on a lot of future trends, because we have to help businesses to sort of adapt to the market. So so that's what we're going to be talking about. So the way we'll do this is I'm going to go through. Do you want to go for yours first, or should I go for mine? Which way would you?
No, just call it out. You say, you call it out, and then we'll just discuss the topic each time, right?
All right, cool. So I think it makes more sense to start with the present ones first. So let's start with the present and what is at the moment, and then we can go to the future. Yeah, cool.
Sure.
Awesome. Sure. Perfect. So what one of the trends, Martin, me and you were talking about in terms of the current trends is, landlords being taxed to oblivion. Absolutely at the moment. It's a trend that I'm pretty sure no one.
It's landlord bashing. Yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly.
The main problem is that, and this has driven out a lot of people out of the property market. With capital gains, talked about rising in capital gains, so a lot of the landlords have sold out. But also, with the taxation as well. The thing that people have to remember is that it just right now, it seems that landlords are easy targets, right?
Yeah.
Easy targets for government to pick on, because it is a case of, landlords, we've always taken the brunt of stuff sometimes, right? So we're an easy target, right? And no one will feel too sorry for us if the government picks on us, right? Which is bad, really, because we do provide a great service, or most of us do. But one of the things is, taxation is going to be a big thing, right? So you've got capital gains, rising as well. You've got stamp duty now, where the government actually reduced stamp duty, and this is where I think currently that if you bought a property, great, but right now, that's forced up property prices, but they're beginning to taper off now, because now they've missed that April deadline, basically, right? So no one's buying it, and you've noticed property prices are now beginning to taper off. But actually, there's now a lull in the market that was anticipated, right? And the main problem was that people were rushing to buy to beat the stamp duty. It's happened before. It happened when they were introducing the 3% initially, where people just rushed, and they didn't even think about what they were paying for, and whether if they waited, they knew that the price would fall at the end, and they could probably pick it up cheaper than the overall amount they think they were saving, and they weren't saving anything. And this is the main problem. So that's going away. There's so many things that are now happening on the balance side. The other thing is that with all the planning as well, that's all changing, right? So you are able to do office to resi conversions as well. You can look at shops, retail sectors where you can change of use. So they are relaxing on that side. Planning laws are being relaxed on that side, which can be an advantage, and it's picking it at the right time, right? Just like everything else in life, you've got to have your timing correct. Yeah, you've got to have your timing correct. And I think right now, I don't know if you agree. Yeah, the market, you would have thought the prices would drop, and I was one of these believers that I thought prices would drop. And it hasn't. It's done the opposite, which is contradictory to common logical sense. And I call it, in the stock market, they call it the Tina effect. And I think that's now beginning to be used, as well. Tina effect is there is no alternative, right? So people are rushing, going, well, I've got a pile of cash, I'm going to buy it, rather than thinking about what they're buying. Just need to get rid of cash in order to go into an asset class, basically. So there's that. So that trend has to, right now, demand for certain types of housing, especially in London, right? So we've got HMOs in London. Friends of mine have got HMOs in London. They're hard, right? And they're hard because they're staying vacant for a lot longer because there's been an exodus of people. Restaurants are not open, right? So most of the service industry is shut down, right? So London obviously is suffered because people have gone home. So friends of mine asked, unfortunately, I don't take anyone on furlough, and I don't mind saying that, right? Because I don't know if they'll have a job at the end of it. Right. So friends and I, have discussed a lot of things, and we said, okay, well, what are you doing? And they've said, well, one of the things I'm doing is, if people have got are on furlough, there's no guarantees that they'll be employed all of a sudden. Right. So they're employed now, but does that mean that they'll have a job at the end of it when things open up? And the chances are most of them won't. Right. And this is where the difficulty comes in. So it's being sensible. That's not to say all demand is dead and property is dead. It's not like that. It's just being mindful of where you are, what you want to do. So that's one of the main trends in London. Obviously, the commercial side is suffering a great deal, and people are looking to pick stuff up in the commercial side. Right? They are looking, and I think we should have this as a separate topic when we bring it up about what we think will happen to prices in property. It seems a little bit ludicrous to me. I don't know if common sense prevails, and don't forget, we are a channel about improving your wealth. We're not a channel that we are here to help you, right? But we're not a sell. And there's lots of people like that. They sell indirectly. But we're not about that. We're about trying to educate you, put you in a good position to buy stuff, basically, right?
Yeah,
and increase your wealth. But one of the things is that's why there's no point doing certain things, because you've got to time it right, and when the property prices are right at the moment, right? So that's some of the trends. Do you want to talk about some of the other things that we wrote down as well?
Yeah, please. So the next one is the exodus of people leaving London at the moment.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And obviously I've heard some people from Hong Kong are also sort of like looking to plug that gap, but that is definitely a trend especially the leaving from London. Obviously COVID and pandemic, we had a lot of that. That's 100% another trend that's present right now.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things now is that people are finding, they don't want to, because of lockdown, people don't want to necessarily live in confined spaces. They want bigger spaces, right? So there is that exodus out of the cities, because the cities provided service work, right? So the service sector was big, but obviously that shut down completely. So until it comes back, and we have to then see what the demand is like. So unfortunately, a lot of businesses will not have that. We are going to, and people, it just seems normal to people at the moment.
Yeah.
Right. But we are going to have a cycle of bankruptcies. Right. We haven't experienced it at the moment, but we are. Right. And when we start having that cycle of bankruptcies, that's when we'll find out what's working, what's not working, and what sectors are going to be all right. There'll be a lot of restaurants that will close down, but someone will take that place, right? Someone will take that place, or maybe the restaurants reopen, but the footfall will be less, because obviously there'll be a lot of apprehension, and will there be a fourth lockdown and stuff like that. So there'll be apprehension, and it will take time. It's not to say that it's always with us. It will take time. It will come back. So I'm not talking about in an infinite time. I'm talking about this year now, right? I'm talking about. So, and I think most of those bankruptcies will happen after April, once these lockdown periods fit. Not just a lockdown, but the eviction processes can start. where people can start taking repossession of their properties. And banks, if you've noticed, haven't been able to repossess, right? So if you're a landlord who cannot pay your bill, the banks haven't been able to repossess.
Yeah.
So those repossessions will be coming onto the market, right? So, logically, prices are affected by supply and demand. If the supply is going to be a lot more, it's going to push down the demand. It's going to push down prices, basically. Right? So we are anticipating a reduction in prices, but because of interest rates, with interest rates being so low and talk of negative rates coming, right? Mortgage lenders have reduced their rates already, right? But on the other side of it, they've also tightened up their lending criteria, right? So there's a lot of even affluent people. I've got to, if you speak to anyone who has been buying property, they'll tell you that they have to jump through a lot more hoops right now, right, in order to actually get that mortgage through. So the lending criteria has tightened up, although the loan to value, a lot of them are now doing 85%, 90%. But this could also be first-time buyers, right? But there's some of them, the new companies that are coming in, but they're going to have tighter and tighter, things to actually hoops to jump through. So it's a balancing act. It's going to be a real balancing act. But I think the main way you're going to win in property is looking at current stock, how you can actually reposition yourself. So, with commercial property, how you can reuse that space. And I think that's where the big amount is going to come. But timing it right, so you've bought it at the right price. If you buy commercial property at the wrong price, then you're stuffed, right? You're stuffed. And at the moment, it's priced incorrectly. It is priced incorrectly from what the market is doing. So, okay, you can buy it incorrectly and then reposition it, but then hold on a minute, are there more flats on the market? Are there more HMO? So, sometimes it pays to be a little bit cautious and a little bit standing back and just watching as an observer. But that's not to say that, you can't make money in property. You just got to buy it right. We've said it before, haven't we?
Yeah.
What other trends have you seen, Kiki?
If there's a few more current ones as well, it's convictions is a big one that's happening, especially. I mean, you've seen in the US, they've got very, very tight, and it's sort of that whole process of what you were saying as well, how banks are holding back. Like it's happening in everything, and convictions. In businesses,
all sorts of everything. You can't repossess a business even if you've got a bad loan. You can't repossess that business, right? So you will see a filing of bankruptcies coming through once they start repossessing certain assets, basically, right? At the moment, everyone's on holiday. The government are paying for it all. Everyone's on holiday, but we'll see what happens once I think we should talk about it, about what will happen after April. So right. So Selena, who works in Insolvency, right? My friend who basically lends out a lot of money. So he works for a couple of high net worth individuals and he loans out money. So he provides bridging finance, right? And I did phone him up and I said, have you got anything maybe that's gone wrong that I can pick up? He said, nothing. So why nothing? He said, because we can't repossess anything at the moment, right? Even if they're behind in their payments, we can't repossess them at the moment. Right. So because I can't do it at the moment, and I'll wait until April, because once April comes around, these repossessions will start taking place and the stock will then come onto the market. So you've got landlords who haven't been repossessed yet, but they are going to get repossessed unless they can find payments to make to the mortgage company. So commercial space is going to be the same. Commercial space is going to be exactly the same. At the moment, the tenant, they may have not been getting paid. They may have been getting paid, but you've got to wait to see how it all pans out, right? And I think that's where I think by end of April, May, June, let's see what happens. How much stock comes onto the market, then can you buy it at the right price, basically.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting, and I like the kind of things you're talking about is obviously present, but also foreseeing I would say like the short near visible future as well.
Yeah.
And I think another one is how the commercial space will change. Like if we're talking about like the sort of short-term future from like conversions from the high street, right? That's definitely another.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already taking place.
It's already taking place. I mean, look, that's been going on for years, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Because we had something on Whiteman Road in North London. That was converted years and years ago because it was a secondary parade.
Yeah.
And the council allowed for that to be converted into housing. So it was a shop, and loads of those shops were converted basically into housing. So you're going to have some of these shops now being converted into housing, basically, and that's what you've got to look at. You've got to look at. But again, are you picking up at the right price, or are you just buying it? Yeah, or are you just buying it because, hey, it's a building, hey, it's a commercial building, and there has been advantages of buying commercial buildings, but are you paying the right price, right? So one of the things that I was talking to my developer friends with, because we looked at a development near us, and I said, that could be really good. And then we talked about, end value, right? And we anticipated, and what's the price going to be? Because we don't know where that price will be. Is it going to be 10% lower than we think? Is it going to be 10% higher than we think? So that uncertainty stopped us from actually going to commit, because you're talking about big money when you do developments, right? Stopped us from committing because we didn't know what the end value was and where the market was going to be, right? And even now, we don't know. I know that there's a lot of stock on the market, and I think what will happen is that everyone is going to jump on that stock, but it's just not shifting. What if, we talked about the exodus of people moving out, right? They have moved out. We're hoping that the people from Hong Kong come in, maybe take up some of that slack. What if they don't? London has lost Brexit. London has lost in the banking sector. Some of the jobs are going to go to Frankfurt, Paris, Amsterdam, right? They are going because the European Union have not provided us the banking passporting system yet, right? So some of the trading, you can read it in the FT, you can read it everywhere, right? Some of those jobs are going, not all of them are going, right? So how's that going to affect, how's Brexit going to affect the London market? So London market has had quite a few whammies hit on it, but it hasn't been able to decide what it wants to do because of the government help and lockdown, right? So the whammy it's had is, companies could well reposition some of the offices, not all of the offices. They're still going to have a presence in London. Some of the offices into other European cities, right? Because of the passporting. Okay, so that's going to have a detrimental effect on the service sector, restaurants, lawyers, because banking and everything else, along with law, all intermingles, basically. They're all intermingle. They're supplying support services. So if one of the sectors is affected, the others are going to be affected, right? So is that going to be less jobs in London? I don't know, right? People wanting to move out, you don't have to be in London anymore. You can be, one thing that COVID has taught us is that you can be anywhere as long as you've got internet connection. Yeah. But so it's really just understanding with the marketplace where it is, right? I don't know if you want to add more to that, Kiki. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good sort of sum up really of what's happening right now. There's a lot that's changing in terms of the market for the future as well. And I think we'll cover some of those points as well now. And it's interesting because the vertical that I'm in, obviously being very tech focused as well, in terms of the business and what I do, there's a huge growing, not only interest, but like movement in the prop tech industry. So prop tech, if you guys don't know, just like fintech, finance and tech, so like your mobile apps for your banking all comes under fintech. So Barclays and whoever you use have brought on either fintech companies or they've invested in fintech to provide you those technology services in terms of finance. Now it's happening the same thing in property. If you guys follow me and my history, Space was a prop tech company. We were bringing the normal booking system, adding technology to it and selling it as a software as a service. So that's prop tech. And the industry is really finding its feet. Across North America is the largest prop tech in terms of field, but in the UK, England specifically, there's a lot of companies that are really starting to up their game of bringing technology and property together. And I mean, we saw some early signs of it early on, like, portfolio management or like, numbers and all this kind of stuff. But I felt like people were still trying to figure out what it is. And there's a lot of good companies that are doing. Unfortunately, I don't actually have any list of companies, but I will pop some in the comments below in this video to sort of show you the kind of companies, what people are doing in the industry, especially across UK as well. And it's really, really interesting. So I really feel like the next sort of boom in property, the biggest thing is actually going to be in the prop tech world as opposed to properties themselves, if that makes sense. So it still counts as the industry.
Yeah, and I think
one.
Yeah, and I think this is where a lot of property people are missing because because they're so blinkered. This is a problem. They're blinkered, right? They're like that. They classify themselves as entrepreneurs, but they're like that. So, but you have to be like that. Anyway, so the main thing is, technology, like you said, is going to change quite a bit. So Proptech is also involving, you've probably seen it with virtual showrooms, but virtual viewings and stuff like that, right? So you've already got companies that are doing, one of the things, so you've got in the lettings industry, right? You have these companies that are doing virtual letting, which I don't like, right? But I don't know how it's going to take off. People have actually been booking accommodation without even seeing it because they're doing the virtual thing, right? Developers have been using it for a long time to show apartments and stuff like that, and that's all coming in. So that 3D effects and stuff like that. But the other thing on the other converse side of that is providing technology within the household unit, right? And this is where the trend is going. People go, I've been in lockdown, I need super fast broadband, I need this, and spending money on that sort of infrastructure within the house, right? And that's where developers have to become really smart and say, this is what I need, this is what the future is going to hold, and introducing those sort of concepts within the house, basically, and the main thing is fiber optics, right? It is super fast broadband, right? And making tech available. So, and I'm not just talking about, I'm not talking about lighting and stuff like that. I'm talking about stuff that they've become accustomed to having in lockdown. Fast internet connections, reliable internet connections, reliable Wi-Fi connections, being able to actually have Wi-Fi in one room and not having problems in another room, location. So if you're able to provide Wi-Fi hubs within the house that's above in your bedroom as well as everywhere else, so you can clearly say, well, listen, you're not going to have any issues about Wi-Fi because there's a mini hub up there as well. So stuff like that, basically.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yeah, definitely. And I think to move on to the next point actually is it's interesting. There's a conflicting trend of urbanization and also de-urbanization because of COVID, because like there's obviously people that are so by urbanization I don't necessarily mean just moving to London. I don't think there's really many people moving to London now, but what I mean is cities outside of London are really starting to grow now and people are moving there. They got good infrastructures, they are moving there, and if they do need to come into London, they have fantastic links, right? It's not like it's super unaffordable. It's not like, within the hour you can be in central London if needs be. But obviously because of COVID, because of working from home, so people are sort of locating to these, but also some people are actually locating to outside, like the suburbs of the city. So it's a very weird. There's also urbanization happening in different cities, but there's also de-urbanization of like the people in London saying, you know what, F this. Why the hell am I living in London paying all these ridiculous prices and mortgage? I'm going to move somewhere else. I've got a bigger house. I've got more space. I've got more. I can go for walks and whatever. I've got such a better lifestyle. It's not busy. And if I do need to go into the city, it's a 5-minute drive. So that's an interesting trend, right?
Yeah, you've got lifestyle revaluations, right? And that is people. Yeah, because people are now thinking about what they want, right? Because they've been in lockdown. What do I want out of life? Am I enjoying it? Okay, I've been locked up. Where do I want to go? What do I want? And I think it's given people time to think about it. And it's also an age thing. I think the older ones would probably want, more to be out of the urban areas, right?
Yeah.
And more of a lifetime choice being out of those urban areas. Whereas I think the younger ones get, I still want the buzz, right? I still want the buzz, but I want to be in a different type of environment, right? But I still want that buzz. So that's where the conflicts are coming in. But I think where developers and where property people have to be pretty smart. Stop making fucking micro apartments. Like, excuse my language. Excuse my language, right? One thing that has come about is people say, I don't want to be in a box, right? I've been in lockdown. I don't want to be in a box. I want to have more space, right? So space has become very, very important to them, rather than being packed in like sardines. So they're able to pay you more if you have better space, better internet connection, better technology within wherever you're working, right? Whereas the trend before in London has been pack them in as much as you can to make your numbers work, right? I don't know if that's going to be the same anymore, because we've also noticed, I'm a student landlord as well, right? One of the things that we've noticed is that students no longer want smaller rooms. Right, what they want, and luckily we always had big rooms, right? Because we didn't want to. They're human beings, and we didn't want to pack anyone in. We just wanted nice space, right? So one of the things that we're noticing is that they want bigger rooms now, and so I've got 1-bedroom flats where people are saying, "Well, listen, I'm going to move out. I'm not moving out because of this. I'm moving out because I just want more space." Right. So this is where the trend is going to go. And I think, whereas before we had developers putting in lots and lots, no one knows. London will come back. Don't get me wrong. Yep. London will go through a transition. No one knows how long that transition period is going to be. A lot of people are betting that transition will be okay. We'll be back to normal. Well, I don't think we will. I don't know. Do you think we'll be back to normal, Kiki?
A new normal, not the same normal.
normal as in business is going to be as usual, and after lockdown everything will be all right, and it was like before.
I can place very fine bets on it, to be honest. So not much, to be honest.
So I don't think it will happen, right? But it will take time. But it's not to say that London is dead.
No.
London's not dead, but it will be this transition period that you've got to figure out. And
it's
some
an
of the things
evolution period, which is going to happen. Exactly. And to be honest, I feel like there's going to be a very different perspective on cities and big cities, and not only in London, but across the world, and how they actually function.
Exactly. I think exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah. I mean, we talked about, I don't know if you know that Birmingham, HSBC moved their headquarters to a big office to Birmingham. So did HMRC to Birmingham. And, they were already moving out of London because it was expensive, right? I wonder if London will become cheaper now. Because if the demand falls, London rents at the moment, I'll tell you, are falling. Right, people, you can rent an apartment in Canary Wharf for £1,000 a month.
Yeah, which is insane.
900 quid a month, 900 quid a month, 1,000 quid a month. You can rent an apartment somewhere else, like in Leeds or Manchester, for more than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but they're not. This is in Canary Wharf. I've been speaking to people who have stuff in Canary Wharf, and they're saying, forget what you see on the websites. They're not selling. They're not renting.
Yeah.
Right. but I'll tell you that we're expecting, we're taking in rent. It's fine, because as long as it's rented, some money's coming in, that's fine. We'll just rent it out, right? And that's what they're living up with at the moment. So how is that all going to transpire? We'll see, and it's trying to understand how that's going to transpire over time, right?
Yeah.
But it's not to say property's great. Property is a great vehicle, but maybe you do a little bit of development as well. Just see what's happening in the housing stock at the moment.
Exactly.
Pick up bargains. Right?
Definitely. Cool. So we're going to the next one. So we've got we've basically got there's an increase in trend for as we're talking about developers, actually increasing trend for developers to go direct to seller business, basically.
Yeah.
And it's especially like, developers like Barratt Homes, which are one of the biggest, just managing their sales process in-house. Like no longer are there agencies. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not that they're completely not using agencies, but it's a huge difference to what they were doing before. They are managing most of their sales process all in-house, and that's a big trend, and it's market move.
You know why that trend's come about?
No idea.
Because before, this is where estate agency is changing as well, and lettings will change. We talk about Proptech, right? What's come about is that people haven't been able to do viewings, right? So whereas Barratt Homes developers, we used to go to a local estate agent saying, well, I've just developed a block of flats down there, would you sell them for me? Right? What they've realized is that these guys actually just selling through the internet. They can't do any viewings. They're doing it online with virtual house shows and stuff like that. And they've gone, actually, we can do that. Why do we need him?
Why are we paying them? Yeah.
Why are we paying them? And so I know developers who are selling their own stuff. Now, they've saved themselves a lot of money, but if you ask them, they'll say, well, actually, I wish someone else had done it because it's a lot of my time. But these are smaller developers, right? Yeah. Because they've got to go out and do the viewing, what have you. So and communicate. So maybe there's a business there as well. Maybe there's a business for creating something in between. So some of these developers taking that workload off them, right?
Yeah, actually, this is an idea. If there's any young people watching here, you're in sales, right? Get yourself a freelance position, go speak to these and pitch to these developers and say, hey, look, instead of paying these agents, let me start managing your in-house sales process and I can start helping you build your in-house. Because to be honest, the reason why a lot of these developers take on agents is because they don't have the skills to do those online marketing. And if you're like my sort of age, right?
I've got a better idea. Why don't you do it? Why don't you do it? Right. So hold on. So I'm into you, right? So let's do this, right? So if anyone's watching this, you're young, dynamic, you've got this experience. Kiki, website development. So you've got that angle already, right? Yeah. You need someone who's in sales, who can communicate efficiently, who's not scared about picking up the phone, right? Who's not scared about picking up the phone, getting these leads in. Right, packaging all up, going to Kiki and saying, Kiki, let's do a business. And Kiki will will create a business, build the website, everything else with it, and you've got a business. So young entrepreneurs, come on, get off your backside and get on with it.
So if you're watching this, hit me up. You got our email here. Message me and let's talk. So I like that. Let's get on it. I like it. And Martin's going to take a fee, by the way. So don't.
Listen, I'm mentoring for fee here. Yeah.
Licensing fee, everything. No. So okay. So we'll go to the next one because I'm just conscious of time. We don't want to overrun. So the next one is that the new generations are demanding a lot more from commercial and residential properties, basically, and especially when we talk about things like community building, as opposed to just, here's a block of house or here's an office. You look at the WeWorks and stuff like that, whatever's going on, it's community building. So what's your thoughts on that?
Okay. Well, we've come up with a couple of ideas already, haven't we? And
I mean, in general, on the whole concept and the trend that's happening, like not necessarily the idea, but like, what's your thoughts on the actual trend that's happening? And do you I mean, a good question is, do you think it's going to be long lived, or do you think it's just a short-term thing that's happening?
No, I think there'll be a change in the market, but no one knows. At the end of the day, people are not going to. There are going to be people who want to live in cities, right? It's not as if the city is going to die. The prices may change, but people, London is London at the end of the day, just like Paris. So people will still want to live there, but their demands will change. Their demands will change. So with this sort of, with offices changing, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how many companies actually they don't necessarily need the office, so they adapt. They adapt in such a way that we talked about, you could now be anywhere in the world and you could be working for this multinational, right? Anywhere, because what Zoom, what all this has opened up is that you can employ really smart, talented people from anywhere in the world, and create that community, basically, right? So it'd be interesting. I think we live in very, very interesting times on how this is going to change, and I'm just waiting to see how it evolves in property at the moment. I don't have a crystal ball. What I do have is this, right, and this, and the gut feeling on what's happening from my experience, and possibly how it's going to evolve, right? HMOs, HMOs. In London, there's a lot of empty HMOs in London, right? There are a lot. So it depends on how it's going to change, basically. But it will be interesting to see. I know that people from service accommodation have changed it to normal buy-to-lets and stuff like that. But so things will change. I think people will holiday more in the UK as well. So if you've got, holiday lets, I think, if you've got holiday lets, it's all working. You're having a laugh at the moment, because people don't want to go abroad, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's going to, but that trend will change. People will eventually want to fly, right? That trend will change. But it'll be interesting to see what happens, really.
Yeah, cool. So the last one, which we're going to talk about, is this is actually a lot on what we've been doing a lot in Nine Design, looking into this. But companies, property companies specifically now, are heavily investing in brand building, marketing, tech, data, digital solutions. The tech side to gain momentum that they've actually lost. Because one thing actually is the property industry is actually one of the slowest to adopt technological changes, because it's very old school. It's very and to a certain respect, it's understandable. Like the way the market has been and the kind of things we've been doing in property, they've been proven. Like they're not like let they say if it's not broken, don't fix it. So like developments, flips, and HMOs. That obviously these strategies have evolved a little bit over time, but I think now there's a massive gap where a lot of people, I mean, just the basic things like having fiber optic in your hand, and all these technological advancements that are happening. Having AI,
being able to say, turn on the lights.
Exactly, right? And there's a huge gap.
Yeah. Obviously, it's a nightmare, because when it doesn't work, your tenants are going to phone. But sell it. Just do it as a developer. It's great until it don't work anymore. But the more tech you make, the more problems you get. But that is the way that it's going, and I think people have to understand and adapt. And I think the main thing is adapting. So again, going back to property prices in the future and stuff like that, that adaptation will come. I think because you've got a lot of stock at the moment on the market that's not geared towards Proptech or anything else like that, right? But wouldn't it be great if you walked in, if you were showing, and yes, it does add an expense to the overall development, but now people are all tech, right? It's all about tech, right? So if you go into if your show home has, turn on the light and the light automatically comes on, right? Your bathroom taps, where because of COVID you don't have to touch anything, and doors open and close, basically, right? I know it's all can be gimmicky as well, but you've got to make it so that it's practical. I think that's what you have to do, make it so that it's practical. Yeah, but I agree with you. Companies need to adapt more to tech. Something as simple as sanitizers. Because you'll have sanitizers. So if you've got an HMO, stick a couple of sanitizers on the wall. Sanitize your hands before you come into the HMO. Simple common sense stuff, right? Simple common sense stuff. And I think people just have to use common sense and be able to develop that way.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good sum up, Martin. It's like like this market the property market is never ever going to die. It will evolve, but it will never die. And this is why you have to. And by the way, guys, this is not the only trend. These are just some of the trends.
But we'll cover, as we do more videos, we'll cover some of the other trends.
We'll cover more, 100%. But I think the big message here as well is like what Martin was saying earlier, is not to stay in this sort of box and focus. You need to be looking outside. Our big thing here at Infinity World is looking outside of not just building wealth on different, but even in your industry, even in, if let's say if you are just single-handedly just focusing on the property, and then you're going to go to stocks and whatever after, fine, completely fine, but don't be so enclosed and not understand what else is going on in your market. These trends are very important, and big companies spend millions of pounds every year just for research companies to tell them the trends so they can act upon them. So it's going to cost you a few hours and some Google research to get some of the things that we've mentioned in this video. Start looking them up. Start looking at what we're talking about and how these things are happening and how can these things be implemented. Start looking at sanitizations, and fiber optics and all this kind of stuff, and how these things will start making an impact. So I think it's very, very important, and that's what we're trying to help you guys here, is to be proactive, is to teach you these things.
Ideas. Yeah, I mean, one of the things, look, just going back to, and I shared this with you. So I had not advised, but I said to a plumber, because I'm not a financial advisor, I can't advise that. So I said, Bitcoin, right? So I said to him, and I said to him last year, I said, listen, if it was me, I'd invest in buy some Bitcoin, right? So he bought one Bitcoin, $8,000, he paid for it, right? So he phoned me up last week and he says, I've got to thank you, right? He can put a deposit down for a house now. Just think about it. Right? He can put a deposit down for a house, right? So he can use that deposit. It's not in London, it's out of London. He can now use that money to put a deposit down for a house. And he said, I'm selling out. I said, okay, I would do it this way. If it was me, I'd do it this way. But it's just trying to be, there are so many, the world is full of opportunities, right? The world is full of opportunities out there. It's just picking the right trend and the right time for those opportunities. It is that, picking the right trend. And in property, it's picking what the consumer is looking for, because we are providing a service, right? It's what the consumer is looking for, right? Because you're a service, we're part of it, providing what they're looking for. This is what they're looking for. Go out and ask people, listen, if I had an HMO, what do you want in the HMO? Before, I think I used to remember that, people would put flat screens up and big TVs, Game Boys, we did that, right? But it's not all about that now. It's changing. The dynamics is changing. So the kitchen dynamics are changing. Do you want an Alexa or a Google home screen there to give you recipes and stuff? Stupid things like that. Not stupid, but you know what I mean? Making it more desirable for these people. But and be conscious of the fact that people won't have as much money, right? Because the economy is going through what it's going to have. Some will, some won't. But mindful of what they can afford to pay. So look for ideas.
Don't get at your house and then charge.
And then, by the way, it's £1,000 a month. It's £2,000 a month. Don't be doing that.
That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying.
No. It's just being mindful of utilizing the assets that you've got, right, in a correct way. And we're always prepared to help you, you know. Like I said, yeah, we have been working on stuff, but we don't feel it's the right time. But once it's the right time, we will actually launch it, you know. But it's not 100%. Right, and we're not just a complete selling organization. We're here to help you, basically, like the Bitcoin, like the stock. You know, we talked about Bitcoin in our segment before. We talked about Neo before, right?
Yeah.
So we'll be doing an update on stocks, right? Midweek.
Yeah, next week. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say to you, you're talking about the plumber, and like, you know, and in me personally, you know, like my stock portfolio last year went up by 60%. And again, a lot of it was from what we've been going through and what the videos we've been putting out. So it's like there is opportunities, and that's what the big thing is here. But awesome. But yeah, that will come more next week. The stock.
I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope people have enjoyed it.
Exactly.
So listen, put a comment down.
Yeah.
Again, we apologise because Kiki had COVID, and my wife had COVID. My daughters had COVID. My parents had COVID. Yeah, okay. So it's a lot of that going through. So it was a case of trying to look after everyone, basically.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. But the main, you know, most important thing is we hope everyone is keeping safe a while. Please do keep safe a while.
Absolutely.
Still, you know, do follow the rules as much as you can.
This thing is absolutely
real, and it can affect people completely differently.
And that's the weird thing, right? It can affect people 100%. In so many different ways. Some have mild symptoms, some have really strong symptoms. It's bizarre. Exactly. Absolutely bizarre.
So that's exactly why there's such a serious there's such a serious focus on it. And guys, don't forget, you know, the people that are looking into these things are educated doctors and educated people. So I know there's a lot of noise out there and all this nonsense. Just be wise about it. You know, it's like how you guys listen to us. You know, we're not giving you, obviously we're not financial advisors, but we've got experience. We're talking to you from experience, you know. So you have to sort of just acknowledge that. But anyways, onto the stuff. We got more stuff coming this year.
We've got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we've got an exciting stock market update and some
we have that we're going to be finally
next week. Finally, there's a lot happening, but we'll keep our secrets, not secrets, but we'll keep our sort of mouths closed for now until next week. But but again, so guys, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment below. If you have it, just this normal drill. If you have any questions that you want us to answer, you know, we had a very good Q&A off the back of last year. Just drop them in the comments or message us.
Yeah.
We're more than happy to ask them.
More than happy.
I must say, actually, Martin, some fans and supporters actually messaged me personally to ask if we were bringing an update, you know, video. So thank you so much to you guys. And we obviously you'll be seeing this now, but continue to share. Continue to smash the like button, because you know the way the algorithm works, if you don't smash that like button, you're not going to see our videos in your feed. So make sure you do, and just keep sharing, guys, honestly. So we've got a lot coming this year, but thank you so much for your support. And
thank you guys, thank you for your support. Definitely, we're humbled by it.
So cool. Sounds good. Check it out.
Right, so speak to you later.
Awesome. Catch you then.